Basin Electric announced plans for a new power plant in the works later this year in Williams County. The Basin Generation Station, as it's called, will be built near Epping and will produce more than 1,400 megawatts of electricity. A report from Basin says it will be the largest electric generation project in the cooperative's history. A spokesperson for Basin Electric says they serve roughly 3 million members.
Our members are growing, so therefore we know that we need to fulfill that. And we also know that the most important thing for our membership is affordable and reliable power.
Buntrock says that the station should begin operations in 2030.